In the shadow of the Great Depression, a city held its breath. Cleveland, Ohio, a hub of American industry, was about to become the hunting ground for one of history's most savage and elusive serial killers. Amidst the poverty and despair of the 1930s, particularly in the shantytown known as Kingsbury Run, a nightmare was unfolding. Grainy, flickering images of the era paint a grim picture: desperate faces, long breadlines, and the smoldering fires of makeshift homes. It was against this backdrop of societal decay that a new terror emerged, one that would be splashed across newspaper headlines in bold, chilling print. Mad butcher strikes again, headless body found. A phantom was stalking the city's forgotten, and his reign of terror was just beginning. The horror began in September 1935, though some believe it started even earlier. The discovery of the first victim set a gruesome pattern that would repeat with horrifying consistency. Imagine the scene. Investigators, their faces etched with a mixture of shock and revulsion, standing over the remains of what was once a human being. The bodies were always dismembered with an unnerving, almost surgical precision, the heads often taken as trophies. The killer, dubbed the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, left few clues, operating with a ghastly expertise that baffled law enforcement. In a quiet, sterile room, a gloved hand can be seen methodically wiping clean a long, sharp blade, the reflection in the steel showing no emotion, no remorse. As news of each new discovery spread, a wave of panic washed over Cleveland. People huddled in their homes, reading the terrifying accounts in the papers, their faces pale with fear, wondering who would be next and if the butcher would ever be caught. Into this maelstrom of fear stepped Elliot Ness. Fresh from his legendary takedown of Al Capone in Chicago, Cleveland's new public safety director was a symbol of incorruptible justice. He arrived at the grim crime scenes, his jaw set, a look of steely determination in his eyes. Ness brought a new level of organization and intensity to the hunt. His team of untouchables meticulously scoured Kingsbury Run, creating detailed maps that marked the locations where different body parts were discovered, trying to piece together the killer's movements and psychology. In a desperate attempt to identify the nameless dead, plaster death masks were cast from the severed heads of the victims. These haunting white faces, frozen in a permanent state of repose, became a symbol of the investigation's frustration and the killer's cold, anonymous cruelty. They stared blankly from police headquarters, a silent chorus of the unknown dead, pleading for their stories to be told. The investigation, despite Ness's relentless efforts, was a labyrinth of dead ends. Dozens were questioned, but the killer remained a ghost. The focus eventually narrowed to one primary suspect, a troubled but brilliant doctor with a history of mental instability and a deep knowledge of anatomy. In a dimly lit interrogation room filled with thick cigarette smoke, the tension is palpable. We see Elliot Ness leaning forward, his voice low but firm, questioning a man whose face is shrouded in shadow, his identity deliberately obscured. The suspect's answers are evasive, his demeanor unsettling. Though the evidence against him was circumstantial, Ness was convinced he had his man. In a move that remains controversial, the suspect was quietly committed to a mental institution, avoiding a public trial. Then, as suddenly as it began, the killing stopped. After the suspect's institutionalization, the Cleveland torso murderer claimed no more victims. The city breathed a collective sigh of relief, but the victory was hollow. Was the right man caught, or did the real killer simply vanish? The case was never officially closed. The mystery endures, fading into the mists of history like an old photograph. The final images linger, the desolate landscape of Kingsbury Run, a frustrated Elliot Ness staring at his case files, and the silent, haunting gallery of plaster death masks. They are the final, chilling testaments to a series of murders that remain to this day one of America's most disturbing and profound unsolved mysteries.